He scraped off the date on the check with a razor blade and pasted on his own name. Then he took out the soaked airplane model. He peeled off the airline's logo and stuck it on the back of the check. Finally, he pressed it flat hard with a book. And just like that, a fake airline payroll check that could fool anyone was done. He got to the bank, looked around, and deliberately picked a teller who looked like a total flirt.
Welcome, Miami Mutual Bank. How may I help you?
My name is Frank Taylor. I'm a co-pilot for Pan Am. I'd like to cash this check here, and then I'd like to take you out for a steak dinner.
And that's how he successfully cashed the check, and even got the teller to take him behind the counter for a tour.
And where are these numbers?
They're, right here.
Right there?
See?
The guy's name is Frank, but as a top-notch con artist, his skills weren't just about fooling women. He even had the FBI running in circles, because he'd cashed so many fake checks. That day, the FBI followed the trail and burst into Frank's room.
FBI, come out of the bathroom. Hands on your head.
But facing FBI agent Carl, Frank stayed cool as a cucumber and started pretending to be a federal agent.
Drop it!
Relax! You're late, all right? My name's Alan, Barry Allen, United States Secret Service. Your boy just tried to jump out the window. My partner has him in custody.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You think the FBI are the only ones on this guy? Taking that gun out of my face?
Seeing that Agent Carl was still skeptical, Frank handed him his wallet straight up and even used the neighbor who just stepped out to put on a show.
My partner's walking him to the car as we speak. Look. Hey, Murph. Yeah, call the LAPD again. I don't want people walking through my crime scene.
I didn't expect the Secret Service on this.
Don't worry about it.
Finally, Frank got ready to leave with all his forgery tools.
Wait. Your wallet.
You hang on to it for a minute. I trust you.
Clueless Carl let out a sigh of relief. He was thrilled to have finally caught the criminal, but soon enough, he realized something was off.
Hey! Oh, God damn it!
Nobody could have imagined that Frank's talents went way beyond this. He impersonated a pilot and flew over 3 million kilometers for free, impersonated a doctor and rose all the way to department head, impersonated a lawyer and became the chief prosecutor's assistant. And all of this before he turned 19. And it all happened in real life. The reason he became a con artist all stemmed from something a classmate said to him in school. It was his first day at school. A chubby kid mocked him for what he was wearing.
Hey, looks like the substitute teacher.
To get back at him, Frank had a bright idea and actually pretended to be the substitute teacher.
Quiet down, people! My name is Mr. Abagnale. Will somebody please tell me where you left off in your textbooks? Excuse me, what's your name?
Brad.
Brad, why don't you get up here in front of the class here and read conversation number 5.
Seeing the chubby kid embarrassed, Frank was over the moon. But then the real substitute teacher showed up.
They sent for me. They said they needed a sub for Roberta. I came all the way from Dixon.
But Frank still didn't panic.
I always sub for Roberta. Excuse me, why aren't you reading?
I'll never come back to Bellamy Jefferson again. You tell them not to call me. What do they think? It's easy for a woman my age and all the money that it costs to travel like...
But later, Frank went too far and got exposed because he even held a parent-teacher conference and arranged for the chubby kid to intern at a bakery in France. The principal was furious and called in Frank's parents. While Frank waited outside, he even helped a girl fix her fake note problem.
It's a fake, right? When your mom hands you a note to Miss School, the first thing you do is you fold it and you put it in your pocket. If it's real, where's the crease?
When his parents came out of the principal's office, they didn't scold Frank at all. Because their family was loaded, they could just find another school. But soon enough, this carefree life would vanish without a trace. Because Frank's dad went bankrupt, his mom cheated, and they were about to divorce.
After the divorce, whose custody you will be in. Now I want you to go into the kitchen, sit at the table, and put a name down.
His dad comforted him. Just write it down like it's a test. But Frank knew, no matter who he picked, the answer would be wrong. Under the huge blow, Frank could only break down and run out of the house, and started wandering from then on. With no money on him, even finding a place to stay became a problem. So Frank tried forging a check for the first time. But when he went to the bank to cash it, even though he made up all kinds of excuses, he was ruthlessly turned away. Just as Frank was in despair, he spotted a pilot on the street. Back in those days in America, pilots were idolized by everyone. They were welcomed wherever they went. In that moment, Frank had an idea. Just forging checks wasn't enough. He needed a glamorous identity, and that was to become a pilot. So Frank disguised himself as a student and went to Pan Am as a school reporter.
Well, every pilot has to have two things with him at all times. One is his airline personnel badge, looks just like this one here from Pan Am. The other one is their FAA license, and that looks just like this.
Do you think I can make a copy of this to put into my article?
Oh, Frank, you can have that one. It's 3 years expired.
Oh, thanks. And what about your ID badge? You have an extra one I could borrow?
Oh, no, I can't help you there. It was a special order from Polaroid. The only way to get one of those is become a real live pilot for Pan American Airways.
With that info, Frank still needed a pilot's uniform. So Frank posed as a pilot and called the airline.
I sent my uniform to be cleaned through the hotel, and I guess they must have lost it.
They lost a uniform. Happens all the time. Go down to the Well-Built Uniform Company at 9th and Broadway. They are uniform supplier.
With that info, Frank successfully conned his way into a pilot's uniform. And even better, he didn't have to pay with a check or cash.
It's going to be $164.
Great. I'll write you a check.
Sorry, no checks, no cash. You'll have to fill in your employee ID number, and then I'll bill Pan Am. I'll take it out in your next paycheck.
Even better.
Thanks to the pilot's uniform, Frank turned heads wherever he walked. When he got to the bank, not only did he easily cash the check this time, even the bank manager personally greeted him. And by chance, Frank got some new info that a pilot's payroll check could cash more dollars.
For airline personnel, we cash personal checks up to $100. Payroll checks, we cash up to $300.
Did you say $300 for a payroll check?
So he jumped on it, and it turned out this really was the best way to get rich overnight.
Those are the keys to a 1965 Cadillac DeVille. Convertible. Brand new, Dad.
From then on, Frank's life was like he was cheating the system. He sweet-talked his way into cashing one fake check after another.
Excuse me. I'm sure you hear this all the time, but you have the most beautiful eyes I have ever seen.
Yeah, you get that all the time. How would you like it?
At the same time, Frank used his pilot identity to travel the world for free, even though he couldn't even find the jump seat.
It's been a while since I've done this. Which one's the jump seat again?
Have a nice flight.
Frank Taylor, Pan Am. Thanks for giving me a lift, boys.
Go ahead and take a seat, Frank. We're about to push.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
And he was quite the ladiesman, too.
And if they sold me downstairs at the hotel gift shop, how much would you pay?
I'm sorry, how much would I pay for what?
The entire night. How much would you pay me for the entire night?
$1,000.
Okay.
But when Frank pulled out a $1,400 fake check and got ready to go cash it, the girl stopped him.
You think this hotel is gonna cash a $1,000 check at 3 a.m.?
It's a New York Savings and Loan check. It's like gold. I'll cash it.
It's a cashier's check. Endorse it over to me.
No, I couldn't do that. See, this check is for $1,400. We agreed upon $1,000.
Why don't I give you back $400 and you give me that check?
Even better.
That night, Frank hit the jackpot. He made an extra $400 out of thin air and had a great night too, but with more and more fake checks cashed. The FBI finally zeroed in on Frank, and the agent in charge of the case was none other than Carl from the beginning of the film. Too bad their first showdown. Carl got totally owned and watched helplessly as Frank got away. But Frank wasn't exactly the winner either, because of his criminal status. Frank had no home to go to. Even on Christmas Eve, he was all alone. Maybe because he had nobody to talk to about his loneliness. Frank actually called Carl.
Do you always work on Christmas Eve, Carl?
I volunteered. So then the families could go home early. You want to talk to me? Let's talk face to face.
All right. I'm at my suite at the Stuyvesant Arms, room 3113.
But Carl didn't buy it. He figured Frank was pulling his leg again.
I'm really sorry if I made a fool out of you. I really am.
No. You didn't call just to apologize, did you?
What do you mean?
You have no one else to call.
Frank got hit right in the feels and hung up in anger, then packed his bags and left the room. And his room number was indeed 3113. This time, he wasn't lying to Carl. In this showdown, Carl evened the score. At the same time, he made new progress in the case. Lately, Carl had been digging into the name Frank left, Barry Allen, but he couldn't find the guy in the archives. Just then, a waiter reminded him.
Barry Allen. The Flash.
But kid. You mean like the comic book?
Yeah, the comic book. But he's not the Flash. He's the same Barry Allen.
Carl had a light bulb moment. His previous investigation was all wrong. Because of Frank's mature and slick tone, Carl always thought he was a 30-something adult. But now knowing he used the Flash as an alias, meet Frank was just a kid with no criminal record. There wouldn't be anything in the archives. After some legwork, Carl finally found Frank's mom.
Would you happen to have a picture of your son?
Oh, yes. I have his old yearbook.
Sure enough, the criminal was Frank. Frank's mom thought her son had just gotten into a little trouble.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to have to tell you your son is forging checks.
Forging checks? Wait, I'm sure we can take care of that. I'm working part-time at the church now. Just tell me how much he owes and I'll pay you back.
So far, it's about $1.3 million.
Meanwhile, Frank forged a fake degree, claiming he graduated from Harvard Medical School and became a resident doctor, even though he knew zilch about medicine. But with his fancy credentials, he could boss around any subordinate.
Gentlemen, what seems to be the problem?
Bicycle accident. Fractured tibia about 5 inches below patella.
Dr. Harris.
Yes?
Do you concur?
Concur with what, sir?
With what Dr. Ashland just said. Do you concur?
I think we should take an x-ray, then stitch him out and put him in a walking cast.
Very good. Well, you don't seem to have much need for me. Carry on.
After all the drifting, Frank wanted to settle down, so he started dating a pretty nurse named Brenda and eventually proposed. Later, at a dinner at Brenda's house. To make a good impression, Frank lied, claiming he was also a lawyer who graduated from Berkeley Law.
Berkeley.
Berkeley. Oh my gosh, isn't that where you went, Daddy?
Was that snake Hollingsworth still teaching there when you went through Berkeley?
Hollingsworth. Yes. Grumpy old Hollingsworth, right? I tell you, meaner than ever.
And that dog of his? Tell me, Frank, what was the name of his little dog?
I'm sorry. The dog was dead.
In fact, Frank got it wrong because that teacher never had a dog. After dinner, Brenda's dad talked to him alone. He grilled Frank about what his real intentions were with his daughter.
The truth. Tell me the truth, Frank. What are you doing here?
The truth is, sir, that I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an airline pilot. I'm nothing, really. I'm just a kid who's in love with your daughter.
If you only tell lies, you'll get caught quick. But when you mix lies with truth, it becomes seamless. This sincere spiel totally won over Brenda's dad. He not only approved the marriage, but also hooked Frank up with a job as a prosecutor's assistant. For a while after that, Frank found that family feeling again at Brenda's home. It was so nice, so warm. In that moment, he thought about going straight.
Oh, Carl. Merry Christmas.
I want it to be over. I'm getting married. I'm settling down.
You've stolen almost $4 million. You think we could just call that a wedding present? No, this isn't something you get to walk away from, Frank.
I want to call a truce.
No truce. You will be caught. You will go to prison. Where did you think this was going?
Please leave me alone, Carl. Please.
Following the wedding lead, Carl finally tracked Frank down on his wedding day. When Frank saw Carl, he freaked out and quickly dragged his fiancée back to the room.
I mean, you love me no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, you love me whether I was sick or whether I was poor, or even if I had a different name. Brenda, you see all this money? You see all this money? I have more. I have plenty more. I have enough money to last us and the rest of our lives. Look.
Frank's plan was to elope with Brenda in 2 days. By the time Carl burst upstairs, the scene was just dollar bills floating everywhere and a heartbroken bride crying. But a few days later at the airport, Carl had another shot at catching Frank. However, when Frank got to the airport and saw his fiancée there as planned, he suddenly sensed something was wrong. His fiancée looked nervous, and there were undercover cops all around. But Frank quickly came up with a plan. If he couldn't slip away quietly, he'd just board the plane right in front of everyone.
Yes, this is Frank Roberts, and I'm letting all the universities in the area know that Pan Am will be initiating a new recruiting program this year. I'll be stopping by your campus tomorrow morning.
After some careful picking, Frank showed up at the airport with 8 gorgeous stewardesses. These beauties sure drew everyone's eyes. Even the FBI and cops couldn't look away, totally overlooking Frank hiding behind the stewardesses. And right then, Carl got pulled away by a call that sounded like Frank. By the time he rushed to the spot, he realized he'd been duped again.
Keep your hands where I can see them.
Don't shoot me. I'm just a driver. A man paid me $100 to wear this uniform, pick someone up at the airport.
Who are you picking up? Hey!
By the time Carl caught on, Frank was long gone. A few months later, Carl found out Frank was going nuts. His tracks were all over the world, and the fake checks he was making now were indistinguishable from the real thing. Even banks couldn't tell. For clues, Carl took a fake check to consult experts.
Nobody does work like this in the States.
Where do they do printing like this?
Germany, Great Britain,
France.
Carl suddenly remembered Frank's mom mentioned a small village in France. Sure enough, on Christmas Eve, Carl found Frank in France. But Frank didn't run. He was actually excited. He'd been way too lonely these past few months. So even seeing Carl, the guy who'd been chasing him, felt like reuniting with an old friend.
Oh! Merry Christmas! How is it that we're always talking on Christmas, Paul? Every Christmas, I'm talking to you!
Put your shirt on, Frank. You're under arrest. There's 24 French police officers outside. They wanted to bring you in.
You want a
They
bite?
didn't want the help of an American.
Are you hungry? You want a bite?
But I told them I wouldn't bring them to you unless I could put the cuffs on you myself.
But Frank didn't believe it. He thought Carl was alone.
Frank, you have to trust me on this. These people have been embarrassed, Frank. They're angry. You rob their banks, you steal their money, you live in their country. Don't make a mistake.
That's good. True.
They're gonna kill you. You walk out that door, they're gonna kill you.
Is that the truth?
Yeah.
You have any children, Carl?
I have a 4-year-old daughter.
You swear on your daughter. You swear.
Frank wavered and finally put on the cuffs willingly. But when they walked out of the factory, besides the singing from the church, the place was empty. But just as Frank thought Carl had lied, a ton of sirens blared and French police surrounded the place.
Where are you taking him? Let me in the car. Let me in the car. Let me in the car. Don't worry, Frank. I'll have you extradited back to the United States. Don't worry.
A few days later, Carl got the papers to extradite Frank back to the US. What pissed him off was Frank was skin and bones, tortured by the French cops until he looked like hell. Before he could even finish reading the papers, Frank collapsed.
Frank. Get me a doctor in here. I need a doctor. Yes. Doctor, now!
But during the trip to see the doctor, Frank slyly escaped again. But due to exhaustion, he was quickly caught and brought back. On the way back, Frank asked to talk to his dad after the plane landed. But reality was brutal.
Frank, your father is dead. I'm sorry. He fell down some steps at Grand Central Station trying to catch a train.
Why, right? Carl, I'm gonna be sick.
What's wrong with you?
Carl, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Okay.
I'm gonna be sick.
Sure. Let's go to the bathroom.
In his massive grief, Frank used the bathroom excuse to try escaping again. Carl waited outside for a long time, seeing the plane was about to land. He just had the door busted open. Frank was gone. On the floor were just some fallen screws.
Frank! Frank!
After escaping successfully, Frank went to his mom's house. He saw his mom seemed happy. She'd started a new family with a cute daughter, but he felt totally out of place, like a guest shut out the door. The family he longed for was gone forever. Running away seemed pointless now, so Frank stopped resisting and raised his hands to the cops behind him.
Get me in the car, please. Get me in the car.
Because of his serious crimes, plus the escapes, Frank got sentenced to 12 years. But not long after, Carl visited Frank in prison and casually asked Frank to help with another check forgery case.
To teller at the bank.
Say again?
It's definitely a teller, Carl. I mean, banks, they always use hand stamps for the dates. They get used over and over again, so they always get worn out.
Carl looked thrilled. He had a new idea, but he needed to test it.
Tell me what you think.
That's a fake.
How do you know you haven't looked at it?
There's no perforated edge, right? I mean, this check was hand cut, not fed. Paper's double bonded, much too heavy to be a bank check.
Carl smiled with relief. he decided to bring Frank into the FBI to work. But after Frank became an agent, he had endless tasks every day. Days like that were too boring for Frank. One time by chance, he saw a pilot's uniform and got the idea to impersonate a pilot again. But at the airport, Carl caught up to him again.
Frank?
Surprisingly, this time Carl didn't stop him from leaving.
I'm gonna let you fly tonight, Frank. I'm even gonna try to stop you, because I know you'll be back on Monday.
Even though Carl sounded confident, on Monday he was still super nervous. But luckily, Frank didn't let him down.
Mind if I take a look? It's a real check.
Yeah, it's been washed.
But it's perfect, Carl. I mean, this isn't hydrochloride or bleach.
Carl smiled happily and asked the question that had always puzzled him.
How did you do it, Frank? How did you cheat on the bar exam in Louisiana?
This time, Frank finally told Carl,
I didn't cheat. I studied for 2 weeks and I passed.
In my eyes, between Frank and Carl, it went beyond cop and criminal. They were more like father and son. Carl never saw Frank as a hardcore villain. In his eyes, Frank was just an immature kid who went off the rails for a bit. When visiting prison, he'd even bring Frank a few comic books. When he discovered Frank's talents, he'd go all out to help Frank, fighting for a chance to reduce his sentence. And Frank would notice little things, like the wedding ring on Carl's hand. On Christmas Eve, the only person Frank thought of was Carl. He'd wish Carl Merry Christmas in a kid-like tone. Even when finally caught, the first time he saw Carl open the door, his eyes were full of joy. Carl, like a dad, taught him right from wrong and led him onto the right path in the end. In comparison, Frank's real dad was kind of a failure. He loved Frank, but his tax evasion and cheating and the way he handled the divorce with no explanation all had a huge negative impact on Frank. Even after bankruptcy, every time his dad met Frank, he tried to keep up the dad image. But ironically, he totally failed at the responsibility and backbone of a father. So Frank going astray had a lot to do with him. We often say heaven and hell are just a step apart. Frank's fall into crime was from happy heaven to hell in an instant. He thought money could bring back that happy family. So when he got rich overnight with fake checks, the first thing he did was risk contacting his dad, hoping his dad would use the money to win back his mom. But obviously, that broken family couldn't be fixed. But you can't ask too much from people. Frank was just a 19-year-old kid after all. He tried to escape reality with money, but got lost in the life he built. On Christmas Eve, Frank was all alone. The world around him was bustling and lit up, but he Saturday in an empty bar with only a drink for company. Even if his money was endless, Frank still remembered his childhood when his parents danced in each other's arms happily. I know all sorrows leave a trace of joy. All regrets leave a perfect corner somewhere. Thanks for watching Peak Movie. Subscribe, come along with me and the movie characters to explore the world of films firsthand.